Looks like we're live here. Hey everybody, how's it going? This is TBone here. Welcome to our Tuesday stream where, as usual, we're going to be doing our event previews. But there is something a little bit more special today. So I did advertise this, and I'm working with the devs. They're going to be giving away some gems, and I'll be hosting it. So I'll be doing the giveaway here. But the way it works is I'm not going to be the ones to give you the gems. You're going to get the gems in your inbox once we select the winner. So hasn't started yet. So hold your raffles for now. So basically, we're gonna kick it off, and I'm gonna select a few winners. So it's not going to be just a single person. I'm going to select multiple people. And for those who are watching, if you don't win during the live stream, I'm going to give you one chance to win it afterwards. If you're watching, for those of you who can't join the streams, there will also be a chance for you to win. I'm going to draw one winner from the comments. So after this video is done, if you put in some comments in there, and I will randomly select it from that list. All right. And what I like to see is, because they are, this is really for celebration as we prepare to bring in Gem Crush. It's going to go live next week. And so, say something about Gem Crush, what your thoughts are. What are you curious about? What your ideas of it might be like. Are you worried? Are you excited? Are you happy? Are you sad? Whatever it might be, let's, just let me know. And I will select one winner from the comments. All right. So we're going to have people here winning, and then also one person from the video afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and start the giveaway now. So you should see it available for you to start entering. Once it's available, what you can do then, you could start entering your, you could start going in for the raffle. I think, let me see, has it shown up yet? Let's see. So it should be kicking off now. And so what you can do is you could go ahead and enter, and then we can go ahead and select the winners afterwards. And I'm going to have a timer for, like every 10 minutes or so, we're going to go ahead and select a couple of winners, and then we're going to get it started. So let's see here. If you're not entered, I might need to restart this. Give me 1 second. So let me go ahead and cancel this, and let me restart this, and then so we can make sure that we're getting the people in, because I'm not seeing any entries right now. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this, and then I'm going to get it started again. Apologize for this. Let me just make sure this was all set up correctly. This one, you don't need to be a follower to win. Everybody gets one. Okay, save. I'm going to start this again. I didn't see it pop up. That's why I wanted to make sure that I do this properly. So I'm going to go ahead and do the start now. And I want to see, I don't know why I didn't see it show up as an entry. But anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to select a winner. And then we're going to, we're gonna select the winner afterwards every 10 minutes or so, and then whoever gets selected, you will be able to win some gems. Okay. Let me see. I am signed in, correct? Yes. And let me double check. I'm streaming on YouTube. There's just hopefully this will work out. Anyways, so during this time, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to be talking about the cards, because we are going to have some new, we do have some new mechanics here. And so let's take a look and see what we've got going on here in terms of the cards. So this is a dark commander deck, and oh my gosh, I'm not seeing it. You guys are not seeing yourselves at it, are you? I'm not seeing any entries in here either. Jasmine Corville, thank you very much for the subscription. Yeah, this is this is not happening. So last time it was working just fine. Let me just double check something. Sorry guys, I really apologize for this. It's one of those things, like if something can go wrong, it will go wrong, it feels like, because I'm not seeing anybody joining into the entry. So I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to give you guys anything. So let me just double check real quick, because I want to make sure that you guys are going to be able to win this. So just one quick second here. There it is. Okay, so yeah, everything should be good to go. I'm not sure what's going on there. So, anyways, let's go ahead and do this, right? So, if nothing else, I will be able to randomly select somebody anyways. So, this is a Dark Noble Commander deck. And let's talk about the deck itself. We're going to try and see what I get. And then we're going to also do a giveaway for a hat or shirt afterwards. So let's talk about that afterwards. Okay, so Fierce Family is the ultimate form. And this is the card that will get you, a battle skill that gives you 5 power gems. And then another power gem for every 200 noble killer intensity. So it's like the kind of very similar, it's a very similar skill set that we've seen. And what this does though is it gives you another ability called Berserk. So this whole deck has this ability to go Berserk for 2 turns. And what that means is you will have additional damage output. If you're using the ultimate form, it will give you an 80% increased damage for 2 turns. All right, it heals for 400% at the end of the turn, and it gives you 80% increased damage for 2 turns total. And what's nice is this whole deck has a 2-turn cooldown, right? So it has a 2-turn cooldown. What basically means is you're going to be in the Berserk mode the entire time because you're going to be able to use your battle skill every single time before it runs out. So 2 turns Berserk, you activate Berserk for 2 turns, so you're always going to be able to use it. And it only has a 9 gem charge rate, so it should be more than it should be fairly easy to continuously get your Berserk going. And so Berserk, like I said, it's just damage increase, and that's what we need to see. Like that's the kind of skills that we have seen in all of the metas now is the Berserk. And so what we're gonna see as well here is, interestingly, a passive ability where if you don't go into the Berserk mode, then you can reduce the amount of damage that you take by 20%. So I think I would take the damage boost over damage reduction. That's just generally what I would do. And also the health of all the cards will be increased by 20%. So if you use the entire set of the teams, you're going to gain 20% health overall. So you're going to have more health overall, and you're going to have more damage. And also you will be able to heal yourself every single turn for 400%. So it's a pretty decent deck, but it is susceptible to Toxin, and there is a new debuff, I believe. It's called Slumber. Okay, and so Slumber is it's a new skill. We'll take a look. I think it's actually in the news feed. So we can take a look at the news feed here. And let's see. So in the news feed, it explains what Slumber is. And really all it is that it will silence your passive skills. So if you have a card that has passive skills, it's going to be blocked. So anything that is a passive gem spawn or a power boost, attack boost. I think this might also even impact Revive, because Revive is a passive skill. So anything that's passive will not be activated anymore, but I don't believe this will block your active skills. So let's say you have a passive skill that generates power gems, and an active battle skill that also creates power gems. You'll be able to activate the battle skill, right? You can use the gauge and you can do something, but then whatever is passive will just not work. And so that is what Slumber is. It's a newly introduced debuff. All right, and so that is the card that so the ultimate form will dispel it, as well as some other cards. We'll take a look at that. And so as far as the ultimate form goes, it's basically it's got 3 things. It's got the battle skill creation, so it creates more than the normal ones we've seen so far, in that it creates 5 to start, and then 1 for every 200. So it's it's a little bit slow from that regard, but it is something that can fill up the board eventually. It also gives you a heal every single turn, and at 400%. Heal recovery, it adds up if you're using 3 keys attack, and also it gives you a damage boost. So again, damage boost is better than attack boost. Okay, and so Vincent Hartman, how do you put your own music for the game? I can show you that a little bit later. All right, so let me take a look at the giveaways here. I don't see any tickets. This is really bad. I'm not gonna be able to add to select a winner here. So I'm gonna try something a little bit different. Okay, so that's the ultimate form, and then we're gonna take a look at the. Okay, so I'm starting to see entries. There you go. I'm starting to see some entries getting. So it just took a while. Glad that we were starting to get them in. So I'm just gonna let this go. So if you haven't seen your name entered, just go ahead and put in your entry again. Again, do exclamation mark raffle, and then I will pick a winner in about 5 minutes. Okay, so let's talk about the Master Collection card. This is Pappy Bull, Proud Father. So this is the card that does 1/2 of what the ultimate form does, in that it gives you 5 power gems and it gives you 1 for every 200 noble intensity. So this is a pure power gem spawner. Okay, so this one just gives you power gems, but it also gives you boosted health. So this is kind of like the Halloween card, where with the Devilish Duel, it gives you additional health, but it's not a 50%, it's a 20%, so it's a little bit less, but it's nice. It's a nice boost for your health. And all of these cards have haste now, so they all start with battle skills. So this is a card that gives you power gems. I kind of feel like the ultimate form might be, the ultra rare card might be a little bit better here. So this is the self-assured successor. That's the ultra rare card. And this is the card that gives you, make all noble killer. Okay, so it's not just these cards, all noble killers, including the cards that are Slayer. Okay, so this card can boost your dark Slayer noble killer cards, and they will make them go berserk. So they're going to gain 80% for ultimate form and 75% for ultra rare. So the ultra rare card has a little bit less damage output, but if you use those two cards, you're basically getting 155% damage boost, which is really nice. And you also get the heal. So with these two cards, you should never have a problem with health. And but it's not a gem spawner, so you don't get any gems from this. This is just a pure damage boost. So you're going to use this every 2 turns to get a damage boost for all of your noble killer cards. Okay, and it doesn't have to be dark. It's just all noble. And so Michael Boyles, thank you very much for your subscription. And yeah, so that's basic cards, but there's a couple cards that I think that are really good as well. If you take a look at the collection here, the event card is Grandpapa Furled. This is the event card, and I think this is a pretty good card. Okay, so what this does is it gives you 4 Power Gem 2s to start, and then it gives you 1 more for every 250. So it's super slow, but this card has the possibility of filling up the board with Power Gem 2s, which is really good. Okay, for an event card, this is a good power card to have, especially if you don't manage to get anything. At least this is something that can help you, make a little bit more damage. And so, as a power gem spawner goes, it's not fast, but from an event card perspective, it's pretty good that it has the ability to do so. No other cards or no other passive abilities or anything like that. So this card, the only passive is that it starts a battle with a battle skill fully charged, but otherwise this card will not be impacted by Slumber, for example. All right. So this card, if it's hit by Slumber, you'll still be able to create your gems. What will be an issue is the Master Collection card, Pabibo. Let's say it doesn't dispel. Okay, so this one dispels poison. So let's say you don't dispel Slumber. What happens here is where's the card? The ultra rare card, I think, is the one that has this. So if you don't dispel, for example, then this card will not give you a reduced damage. Okay, and for the ultimate form, what will not happen is the passive ability to, well, I guess the same thing, but this will impact cards like the Glorious Golems, where they passively create power gems and all of those skills. So that's where the impact's going to be. So I like the event card so far. I think that this deck it's pretty decent because it gives you're basically going to stay alive, and this is pretty quick. It's a very quick 2-turn deck, and you're going to continuously sustain additional power gem not power gem, additional damage boost, and you're going to sustain it the entire match. This works for all noble killers, so it's really good for any noble decks that you have. And also it has the ability to create power gems, but that's sort of a given for any of these decks. So far, I think that it's a decent deck. Okay, I think it's decent. And let's take a look at, lastly at the support card, which is the Trailblazer Gunnhild. So the Trailblazer Gunnhild has it's a normal skill where it creates 8 gems and it heals for 10,000 hero recovery. So you're going to be able to fully recover right away. Again, 2-turn cooldown, so it's always nice when you have a very low turn cooldown so that you can activate it every 2 turns. And that's it. It's pretty simple, but it does give you 5 intensity every turn, so you can gain additional intensity. So this is that type of deck where you're going to want to have more intensity so that you can create more power gems, but you can always get more people in there. Okay. So apologies, guys. I am missing a little bit of questions here because there's a lot of things going on. So let's see. So ML is asking a question about the new Slumber skill. I think it's Legendary's attempt to counter players just using older good decks and force them to bind the event deck. So I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I think that there's always going to be some sort of balance. Like when they come out with nothing but decks that have passive skills, right? If you think about it, it's not just the golems. Like every single deck that comes out, there's always some passive ability. That's just something that I can imagine being the next step if they were going to introduce a new counter. That would be one of them. But given that this is going to be the only card that will dispel it, the only deck that will dispel it, it is going to be very difficult to deal with for sure if you're using anything else. So let's take a look and see if support dispels it. Because if the support card dispels Power Gem Silence, so there's Power Gem Silence, so that's going to be a pain to deal with. Then the other one I want to look at is going to be the event card. Okay. So event card dispel. No, that's Master Class. No, yeah, event card dispels poison. So it looks like the only card that dispels Slumber is going to be is it the Master Collection card in the Ultimate Form? So the Ultimate Form dispels Slumber. And what's the other card that dispels it? Ultra Rare card. So it's only Ultra Rare card or the Master Collect or the Ultimate Form. So it is going to mean that if you are facing a boss that casts Slumber and you don't have this event team, then it is going to definitely impact almost all of your decks that are older. So from that respect, I could understand the sentiment there. It's you can't do anything about it, and it doesn't make me happy, right? It doesn't make me happy to see that the only way you can dispel something that will impact your deck is a new card. There's nothing else that will impact it. But there is the thing is. I'm trying to think here, because if you look at Glorious Golems, I'm trying to see if the spell here will count as a passive skill. So the thing here is, right, the high performance unit area will dispel all debuffs. And this is part of a battle skill. It's not a passive skill. So my guess is that this is not going to be impacted. So I think you can use this. You can dispel. You can still dispel it. So it shouldn't be an issue using the Glorious Golems, for example. Okay, and so it's just that if you don't have that deck, if you don't have anything else that cleanses, then it's going to be an issue for your passive abilities. So that's the thing that we're going to have to deal with. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to close the entries for now, and I'm going to open it back up. I'm going to go ahead and pick up let's go ahead and select some winners. So I'm going to pick 2 for now. And they told me 6 winners or so, but let's just see how we go. All right, I'm going to add a couple more. So I'm closing entries. I'll resume it. I'm just going to go ahead and pick up 2. So if you're selected, please just message me and let me know what your in-game name is. And, say something about Gem Crushers coming up. Okay, so like I said, this is a celebration and introduction to Gem Crush that's going to be coming. And I will be telling you guys about my experiences in a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go and pick a winner, and First Fallen is the first one, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick another winner, and it's gonna be TYKI Mick. So just message me on network apps so that I can keep track of it. Just let me know your in-game name. Just message me so that, you know, I can forward your in-game name to the devs who are going to then send you the gems in your inbox. Okay. And so with that, I'm gonna resume entries, and I'm going to pick another couple of winners in about 5 minutes or so. But let's go ahead and let's go ahead and open some tiers. I would like to see if I can get the cards this time so I can test them out and see what we can do with the cards. Okay. And also I will be giving away a hat later. And so stick around for that also. I just can't do two different raffles at the same time. No, you don't have to enter again. So if you've entered previously, you don't have to enter again. You're already registered. So just if you have not yet entered, go ahead and do it because you just need to enter one time and you'll be fine. Okay, so if you've already entered, don't do it again because you're already in. All right, so let's go ahead and open our packs. I have just enough gems to get me to tier 4, so that's going to be sort of the typical. And next event, my plan is to make sure that I get the full deck. Okay, so next event, I'm going to try and get the full deck because we're going to have this whole new mechanic happening, and so I'm going to make sure that we have something to test out. All right, so that's going to be tier 1. I won a Drill Fist card, so that's not really a good card. So let's go ahead and open up to tier 2. So we're going to tier 4, and we're after the 4 tiers. I'm going to select 2 more winners. Okay, so I'm going to keep selecting. Okay, and hopefully you guys can win some gems. So it's going to be 500 gems, like I said, and it's going to be coming into inbox. I don't know when exactly, but I'm going to forward the names, and then you'll be able to get them. All right, so I get a relic. This is sort of like a typical thing where if I'm going to get a gold card, that's not a guarantee. It's going to be a relic. And here's the support card. And then 2 more tiers to go. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed I can get something. And I'm trying to decide. I really think that Ultra Rare card is going to be much better in this case because that's the card that's going to give me the Berserk status. Keeping fingers crossed. Let's see how we do. No, that's another support card. And that is another relic. So I get 2 relics, right? 2 Sigil Krakens. How are you guys doing with your pulls? Like, are you guys able to... I've heard people getting full event decks by tier... by tier 4 or tier 3, and that's really awesome. So I got myself an ultimate relic. I got an ultimate relic with no cards to go with it, though. Ah, goodness. So by tier 3, I have the rare relic, and I have 2 regular relics. So that's 3 gold cards, but not a single one of them is a card that I can use. So let's go to tier 4 and see where we go from there. And that's going to leave me with 43 gems, which is awesome. So you went to tier 4. Your pull has been horrible for the last 10 events. Like, I think I got one lucky event where I got something. But yeah, so far this has just been terrible. This is a terrible fourth tier pull, to be honest with you. Look at that. I have a 2-star ultimate relic and a Grandpapa Frill to go with it. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't even... At least it's going to help me with the intensity, right? So I've got my 5 relics now. I got my ultimate relic, and I got the 2 rare and two regulars. What that will allow me to do is that will allow me to power up my Grandpapa Frill so I can create a bunch of Power Gem 2s. But I'm probably not going to be using that. So it's lucky, unlucky, I don't know. I got 4 gold cards, right? But they're all relics. They're all relics, and I got a 2-star ultimate relic. So that's the first time for me, I guess. But not a Magic Collection card or an Ultra Rare card. Here's the thing, right? If I get 6 more of these, I guess just 3 more coins, then I'll be able to craft one of the cards, which I will. probably just so I can test it out. Because like I said, I'm going to be getting the deck next event. And so that's 3 short. And if I were to craft one of the two, then if I were to get one of the two, it's going to be probably the ultra rare card. So that's what I'm going to do, right? And let's see. So between the two of them, Master Collection card gives you the power gems. Okay, so this is a power gem spawner, but that's really it. Like, it doesn't really give you anything else. The thing that you really want is going to be the damage boost for every single turn. This is a 2-turn cooldown. You're going to be able to get your damage boost, 75% damage boost just with the single card, no intensity requirement, nothing else, and it boosts all of your noble killers. Okay, and you know, I think that this is a good deal. So that would be a card to go for if you're to go with it, and it also counters Slumber, so there's that. And so let's take a look at, you know, the noble cards. Okay, so if we talk about noble killer, there's a bunch. I have 53 of these. These are all noble killers, and you can increase the damage up for all of these. Okay, and 75% damage boost in Slayer events is a pretty big deal. So let's see. So I've got, I guess there was a Dark Slayer event that already took place, so it's not going to happen for a while. Right, because we already had this, and this was the one that we had last time. And so unfortunately, so the thing to keep in mind is the Dark Noble Slayer event already happened, and so this card isn't going to help boost it for a while. And so it isn't necessarily like a must-have. Like, it's not a must-have right now, but if you have it, it will be really good. Like, you'll really gain some benefit. And so I do have the Unbowed Royalty, so at least there is this that can help me boost my freedom fighters, that I can use the golems to boost. Like, I'm probably just gonna play the same deck here, right? So here's the deck that I used last event, and what I did was, you know, I used my, where's the card? I used the Draconic Scoundrels to boost, and it disappeared on me. Yeah, so here it is, right? So I would basically just replace this card with I would just replace it with this card, and I got my deck. Right? So I mean, this is sort of like the version of Forever decks that I will always go with, just because, you know, I worked hard at collecting this. Like, I finally managed to get 2 Mavens from last event, so I got my 2 Mercenaries. I bought, you know, 2 Bio Blitzers so I can get to a 4-star, so I managed to get there. Very happy. I'm going to be using that for sure this event, guaranteed. All right, let's go ahead and pick another 2 winners. I'm going to go ahead and close the entries for now. So let's go ahead and pick winners. So remember, if you win, just message me on the network app so that I know that you've won. I'm also going to be taking a look here just to make sure. All right, let's go ahead and pick winner number 3. We got Demon Blade 7. Congratulations. So that's 500 gems. I'm going to pick another winner here, and it's going to be Eric Briscoe. All right, and so I'm going to continue picking. All right, so if you haven't won just yet, don't worry. We're going to win. We're going to have more. Okay, they told me 6, but I'm gonna do a little bit more. And remember, if you're watching not the stream, but you're watching afterwards, comment down below, and there'll be one winner that I will select from random as well. Okay, so this is a commander event, so we know that, you know, there are gonna be solo bosses that we're gonna have to worry about. Given what I'm seeing here, it's not necessarily a deck that I think is going to be easily going to give you 500% overkill, but with a 80% damage boost and a 75% damage boost, I think that should allow you to get to at least 100, if not 200% overkill. The question is, what can you do to get there? If you have the team, right, then you should have no problems with generating a bunch of power gems and getting yourself to the point where you can fill out the board, get your damage boost. And I think that if you can get personally, I think what you should focus on is more ultra rare cards. So more ultra rare cards gives you more damage boost. And the problem with the ultra rare cards is they don't give you any they don't give you any power gems, right? So look for cards that give you lots of power gems. And that's going to sort of fill in that missing piece for you. So that is my recommendation. I haven't really thought about what cards that would go well just yet. But if I were to look at commander cards for Dark, right? So there's still quite a bit of options there. Obviously, Glorious Golems should be your number one choice to add in there. Like I just don't see any reason not to have it. And beyond that, I'm trying to think. I think the other deck here, which I don't have, the Rabbit one, which I think gives you gems over like 2 to 3 turns. I think this is also a decent deck to go after. Not to go after, but to use, right? And I think the Revival Vault is going to give you... No, is that right? Is that going to be the Rabbit, the Easter deck? I think that's true. I think that's going to be the Easter deck. Right, so let's go ahead and change our... Let me just take a quick look and see. I think it is. Yeah, it is going to be. So our Revival Vault, what you can expect is going to be the deck from Easter. So this is going to be the Arcane Killer. So the Dark Arcane Killer is going to be... that is going to be the one that... excuse me. That you're going to be able to get. So let's see. So TG... That is 5. I'm missing here. So questions here. So Solvar Tempers, what is the card that I put in? So the card that I put in my deck, excuse me. This is the Unbound Royalty. This is a Slayer card that is a Noble Killer. And so my idea is to use the Slayer card to give me 4 times damage boost, to boost my Freedom Fighters. And the Freedom Fighters is going to get boosted by the Glorious Golems. And so I'm also going to be able to get some, commander gems. So this to me is going to be my go-to deck right now. It just kind of feels bad that I'm not using the relics that I've gotten, right? So that's unfortunate. All right. So remember, if you've already registered, you don't have to register again. I just resumed the entries. So I'm going to pick a couple more winners afterwards. So let's go ahead and forge our relics because why not? Look at that. I can forge up to 2 stars. 2-star relic. Let's take a look at this 2-star relic and see what it gets us. All right. So let's go ahead and see here. So at 2 stars, I get additional shield breaker, right? So I get to break 3 shields at the beginning of battle. So it's always helpful to use the shields to break it. So I'll probably at least put in that relic there because I do need to use immortal. I need to use immortal relics in order to boost up my intensity there for the unit area. But it doesn't look like there's anything beyond that. Okay, so that's pretty much gonna be it. Like, did I have? Yeah, so I have a 2-star. I have a 2-star ultimate relic. That's crazy. And so if I were to build a team around that, like if I had to, let's take a look, right? So if I had to do that around the Noble Killer, Commander, let's do Noble Killer, and not necessarily Commander, let's just see what we have. So I have 11 cards here. So it's going to be like this. I've got 2 supports. I'm going to get my 3rd support card in... I'm going to get my 3rd support card in the event, right? And if I were to get another... event, I get 1 support card for sure, but if I were to get another Grandpapa, I could at least put that in there. And what I would do is I would then go ahead and use the Dark Noble Killer relics, and I'll just kind of put them all in here. And at least have a good way to create a lot of gems here, a lot of intensity. So that'll be that. And so the only 2 cards I'm missing here are my are the 2 dark cards that go in here. If I had to select, not from Noble Killer, but if I had to select from Commanders, right, then, like I said, if you have Glorious Golems, go for it. If you don't have it, then pick anything that can give you lots of power gems. And also, something that I think, the thing is we need a card that can dispel. So I'm looking at cards right now that does dispel. Besides Unit Area, I think the other card that dispels is Spirits United, but that's a Slayer deck though. Right, so this one, yeah, so like for example, like this passive for heal is going to be blocked if you're hit by Slumber. High Justice. So there's also this deck that's a reset deck. So the reset deck is also a decent. Basically, these are all cards that can give you lots of power gems. I'm just kind of looking at some of the options. And Prince Baldir was a card that you could have gone from the mercenary bosses. So if you have the Moonlight Fantasy, what this card does is gives you it destroys power gems. It destroys gems and it creates power gems. So it's a card that you can use. Again, it all really depends on what options you have. But I would say that if you don't have a deck, then you should not be worried about getting overkill. Instead, what you should focus on is just go through as many of the waves as possible. And if you're doing waves, keep in mind that you don't have to stick with the Dark Noble Commander. Okay, because if you're going through waves, then ultimately what you're looking for is you're looking to survive, you're looking to clear the way so you can get trophies. It's going to be difficult for you to get the Corellium guild bosses, and you're going to be difficult for you to get through the solos. But if you're focused on waves, there are other things that you can think about. Okay, so the first one is, like I mentioned to you, Immortal Killer, Glorious Golems, just no brainer. Okay, another thing that you could consider is if we wanted to discover like Noble Killer, there's a lot of different cards in in here that you could potentially go with. I think that cards that give you gems over 3 turns is also a good option. It's just that you don't have the, like, you can for example, here's one, right? So the one that we just had is Fire Beast, I think, right? So we had Fire Beast. So one thing you could do is we can do Fire Beast Killer, which is a commander deck. So here's an example of a card that gives you multiple power gems over multiple turns. So if you had this deck, okay, so one of the things that it doesn't give you is it doesn't give you attack boost or damage boost or anything like that. But if you had this, now what we can do is so if I were to look for, I don't have any Fire Noble Killer. I only have Fire Slayer Noble Killer. I guess Fire Commander Noble Killer hasn't come out yet, or I don't have that deck, which is too bad. I was thinking, like, if there's a card that can power up this, you can get multiple waves of power gems for 3 turns straight, which helps you with the waves. Like, I'm just kind of thinking along the terms of what can you do to help you with the waves. All right, I'm going to close the entries. I'm going to go ahead and select more winners right now. So let's go ahead and pick a couple more. Usurper's Royalty should also work. Yeah, it should also work. It's just I don't have the deck to talk about it. All right, let's go ahead and pick Ben Rutherford is our winner number 5. And let's go ahead and pick another 2. Hey, Arcadian Assassin, you win 500 gems. And so I'm going to go ahead and resume entries. Okay, and because I'm feeling so generous with the gems that I'm not going to be giving, I'm going to pick a couple more because I can. All right, so now what I want to do is take a little bit break from the event itself for the next maybe just like 10 minutes or so. What I want to do is I want to talk about Gem Crush. So as you know, they've announced Gem Crush. And this is the information that they have available on their Facebook page, and also that is the one that they shared in the... Oh yeah, let me go ahead and resume the entries. Give me 1 second. It is resumed. Okay. So it is something that you can see in the game and also in the Facebook page. I know that there's a lot of questions, and something that you may already know is that I was part of the public beta test for Gem Crush. But not only that, what you don't know is that there were more playtests that were there, and it was basically I think 3 additional ones. So there were 3 additional ones that I was a part of, which you probably didn't hear about because they were closed. Okay, and so what I wanted to talk about is like when they first came out, it was really bad. Okay, because it was the very, very, very first iteration, and what happened there was it crushed basically everything. Okay, it crushed everything, and it left you with like, you know, 1 or 2 power gems on the very bottom. They're very disconnected. You couldn't get to it, and so it took a lot of effort to try and match the gems, and we ran out of time when we tried it, and so we gave a lot of that feedback. The feedback that I had given was, look, it's unpredictable. Like, we couldn't tell where the where the gems were going to be, so there's like a cognitive dissonance, okay? Because I don't know where the gems are going to be, so I have to spend time looking for it. Because what I'm used to, what you're used to when you play, is as the gems are getting matched, you know where that final power gem is going to be, and you can sort of use that time to plan your move. Okay, so I gave the feedback that, hey, we can't plan moves as well. We're losing time. I then also gave feedback that, you know, like when you have like a full board that basically gets reduced to like 2 gems, it makes it really not fun because you can't do anything. Okay, so you're gonna have to keep going, and then you have to keep getting the gems together, only for it to be separated again. It was extremely frustrating. So that was the very, very first iteration, and then they took that feedback, and then they changed it. And so every time that they came back with every iteration that they had come back with, there was an improvement, and the focus was on addressing the issues that were identified from the playtest. So by the time the public playtest came about, that was about the halfway point. Okay, so that was like halfway point of like sort of them changing, thinking about what does this mean? What are the things that they really want to do? And so at the time of the public playtest, it was still very similar in that the gems were still getting crushed and dropping to the bottom. It's really hard to sort of predict where it's going to be. But there was a little bit more. Oh, and also a very, very funny little anecdote. I have a screenshot that I took when I did the very first playtest, because at the time they weren't thinking about the sort of like, you know, amount of power that you could get from the power gems. I was able to get a really high amount of damage from those gems, to the point where it basically like crashed the system. Okay, and so that was something that we found like very, very quickly. And those of you who were in the very first playtest with me will know about it. It was quite funny. So they fixed that. So like, you know, there's like these little things here. Now, what I know from the last time I did the playtest, which was after the public one, is that this is what I know. Okay, when you crush gems, it's going to create the gems in the middle of the board. Remember that the board is 5x7. Okay, it's a 5x7 board, 5 high, 7 across. It basically stays in the middle, and then additional gems will kind of drop behind it. So basically what happens is like the gems basically get locked, and then the additional gems will drop. So there's a chance that the gems that drop can still be the same affinity gems that match the power gems. Excuse me. And when you do a crush of the gems, my understanding, and if I remember correctly, is that they count toward the matches. So let's say you need 9 gems to power up your card. Well, by the act of it crushing, it will automatically fill up the gauge for your battle skill, so you'll be able to use it. Okay, and so it's not uncommon to sort of see the gems, you know, crushing, and then you can use the battle skill to then fill up more power gems so that you can fill up a little bit more. And I think they also address the fact that there's too few of the same color gems after crushing, so you see a little bit more of that. So it's not going to necessarily be the situation where after you do a gem crush, like, you're left with nothing. And the only thing I don't know is the formula of how, you know, like the damage formula, like how much damage are you going to get when you use a, you know, power gem 5, you know, matches. And as you can see in the picture here, you can upgrade your power gems. If you save them, you could potentially upgrade your power gems to a power 20, okay, power gem. Now, I don't know the details of how much that's going to be in terms of what your output is going to be, but I can imagine it's going to be like a lot. And if you think about it, what that really means is you don't need a full board of power gems to get the same kind of damage output. So like, imagine you used to get like, let's say 100 trillion from like 100 trillion is too much. Let's say you get like 1 trillion damage, okay, from having a full board of power gem 4s. You might be able to get that you might be able to get the same output with half of that if you were able to get it to like, a Power Gem 5s. So the idea here is you don't need to fill up the board all the time. You could still use fewer Power Gems, and you can sort of like, mix and match whenever you need to. So question, did I test with the recent Dorothy deck, the one that duplicates a power? So the answer is no, I did not. So I did not actually test with the Dorothy deck. I tested with, the ones I tested with were, let's see, I can't remember the name of this, but it was not Arcane. It was, I think, Earth Immortal Killer. So I tested with the Verdant Druids. I also tested with, let's just take a look. Let's just take a look here and tested with the Verdant Druid. I tested it with once after that too. I tested with after as well. I think I tested with the Haunted Hunters. But keep in mind that this was also like, a few events ago now. So there has been like at least like 4 or 5 weeks in between where they took that last set of feedback that I gave and made some changes. So there's still improvements based on what I've tested and what they're going to come up with. So I am also very curious as to what it's going to be like, right? And the way that they did it was they actually gave us, like everything, all the decks from like Generation 2 through to the latest one at the time that we tested. So there's a lot of options. There's a lot of different cards that we can get. And the way I see it is, again, we'll go back to the picture here, right? The way this works is as columns fill up, they get crushed. And only if the columns get filled up. So if you have 4 gems in a column, that does not get crushed. Only if it fills up to 5. And so sometimes you don't, sometimes when you activate a battle skill, you don't fill up everything. And so not all of them gets crushed, so they stay there. And so if you think about a card that is capable of filling up the entire board, then basically what that means is you use that one card, you fill up everything, it's going to get crushed into a single row. You use your second card, so I'm thinking like Halloween deck, right? Like the Mummy, for example. You do like all Power Gem once, it gets crushed into a row. You do a second one, it gets crushed into another row. You can keep going. Okay, you can keep going, and then from there you can sort of build up things. And it's not necessarily going to be a full row because it depends on how many columns you actually fill up. Okay, so there is also a little bit of RNG there, but that the Power Gem is going to be in the middle. That's the thing that you can expect. Okay, so that's basically what I know. And like next week it's gonna go live, and so my goal is I'm going to play test the deck for sure, whatever deck it's gonna be. Next week I will do a play test of the deck so that you can see it in action and use it with the event there. So there's a question, Bent Circuit, did I try the Rainbow deck? No, I didn't, because Rainbow decks don't work with Gem Crush, period. Rainbow decks always create 5 different color gems along the columns. And so what it does is it basically will guarantee you nothing gets crushed, right? And so no, we did not test it with Rainbow decks because it just doesn't work. So Mike Pereira, does it need to be all? No, it doesn't. In fact, the way it works, when you know how like when you start a match. So I'm just gonna show you here. I don't have the build here, so I won't be able to show you. But here's an example. Let's go to campaign. When you start a campaign, okay, and when you start a fight, let's go. Let's do this one. I think this will be a good one to test. So let's go ahead and see. When you start the fight, if you have relics that give you gems, gems, sometimes you fill up, sometimes you don't, depending on the number of gems you have, depends on the cards you have, depends on whether you have passive abilities or not. But this is what you see the very first time. So in this case, I'm going to see 1, 2. There's 2 full columns that are filled up, and so those two will automatically get crushed into Power Gem 1s in the middle. The rest of them, because they're not filled up, they're going to stay there. And because I've crushed 10 total gems, I will also have the rest of these cards that don't have the battle skills lit up, they're going to light up now. That's the one thing that I had to get used to. So as soon as gems get crushed, they count toward the matches that you get and power up your battle meter. And so like in this very example, I'm going to have all of my cards have battle skills ready to go, just as if they have haste. It's almost as if they have haste because I was able to crush them, get the power gems, and then I can use the battle skills and I can use them in the same turn. Right? And so it actually does make your first turn much more powerful because you can use your battle skills. You can use your battle skills right away because you've successfully filled up a column. You need to fill up at least 2 columns in order to do that. Okay, you need to fill up 2 columns at least to get the 10 gems so that you can power, because most cards require 9 gems to match. So Psychedelic Cielda, thank you very much for your subscription. And so like that's how it works. Okay, and then afterwards, whenever you fill up, let's say you have like a Gemfall deck. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. All right, so here imagine that I activated battle skills, and then more power gems fill up the columns. They will also get crushed then. All right, and so sometimes it may not be your best interest. Like you might want to keep your board like this. Like you may not want to fill up the board because guess what? If you fill up the board, you lose all of these power gems. And so like you may not want to do it just so that you can have more connections to get you more power. Because like in some cases, like a bunch of power gem 5s and a whole lot of power gem 3s and 2s on the board might be better than just a single row of power gem 5s. So I don't know what the damage differential is going to be based on that, but what I do know is it gives you a little bit more of a things to think about. But see how I have my battle skills ready to go on turn 2 here. If I were to use my battle skills in the Gem Crush scenario, these will now be gone because I don't have a 1 turn cooldown deck, right? And so that's something to think about too. Like you have to like really pay attention to what your cooldown is. Should you use your battle skill on turn 1? Should you use it turn 2, etc., etc., etc. And so it is going to definitely make you play your deck a little bit differently depending on the situation. So is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? I don't know. I think it's really going to be up to you guys to decide. I think that it's going to be a little bit different. So ML, no, all gems will get crushed. So if it's all just regular gems, it gets crushed into Power Gem 1. So Gem Destroyers and Gemfall Heroes will definitely be a good it'll definitely be a good card to have. Right? It'll be good skills that you're gonna want to use. I think it'll be very beneficial. That's my assumption as well. Although to be honest with you, I didn't really test the Gemfall decks, but I do know that if the iterations I tested, I told you I tested with the Verdant Druids. So what happened there was I basically, because I could, at the time of the playtest, I just used all 5 ultimate forms. And so every single turn I was filling up the board completely. Just like filling up the board. And it was still really hard to use just because of the way it was crushing. So then the following playtest, and also it was very unrealistic. So the following playtest, I stopped doing that. I started playing with just like regular decks just to see what it'll be like. And it was pretty manageable. So in my experience, at least from the latest playtest anyways, I thought that it was in a much better direction than where it was when I first started. And so I'm looking forward to what it's going to be like after this, I think they had over a month now. They've had over a month to really tweak it. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing your feedback also. So let's see, questions here. Probably could give us a guilt. So let's see. And yeah, so like for those of us who used to love, Gemfall cards, it could be back to the meta again, right? So like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forget the names now. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Generation 2 decks, because that's where we have some of those, right? I think it's Corrupt. So I used this, for example, for a very long time. And so yeah, the Jinjombre, right? So the Jinjombre has a 2-turn cooldown. It gives you a ton of Gemfall, right? Galena gives you Gemfall. All of those cards that gives you Gemfall, and Gem Destroy, it could be the way to go. And the number of cooldowns is going to be very significant too. So imagine the deck that we all just used for our imagine the deck that we all used for our Bounty Hunter. So Spirits United is a 1-turn deck, right? It has a 1-turn cooldown. This deck has the ability to fill up the whole board. It gives you 7 power gems. 7 gems, right? It gives you 7 gems. And the difference now is instead of the board filling up after you use up all of your battle skills, as you fill up the columns, it's going to get crushed. And so using it, 4 in a row will give you a different sort of like, a sort of a different configuration each time. But then once you use it, you can use it very next turn again. So Spirits United might actually become a much stronger deck too, right? Just because Spirits United before you kind of relied on the Spirit Caller Headcat to give you the power gem force. Well, guess what? Gem Crush will now give you those power gems. All right, so you're not relying on the damage from just the regular gems, but you can use the crushed power gems to get you a little bit more damage. So let's go ahead and do more. So we've only got 8 winners so far. Let's go ahead and close entries, and let's go ahead and pick a couple more winners. And we are now at 919, so we're going to I'm gonna pick 4 more. I'm just gonna say that it just kind of happened that way. So Silver Temperist, congratulations for winning 500 gems. So let me know your in-game name afterwards, and we will make sure to get the gems in your inbox. And Stephen Harrell is the other 2. So these are our 2 winners. And I'm going to be able to pick one more here. And then I'm going to reserve one winner for the viewers later on. Okay. So let's see. Question. Was there a question from Magic Man? So in the case of full board of power gems, it will crush and match as well since we'll be in a row. So if it's a full board of power gems, what will happen is it will crush them and it'll all be in a row. But when gems are crushed into a row, you'll see sometimes gems are combined together. They're not going to do anything until you act on it. So you could break up the row if you wanted to, or you could just go ahead and do the gem. But if it's a one-time full board of gems, you're going to get 1 row of power gems, and then you can then do a match there. But it will only match when you act on it. The Pondering Pigeon, will the crush occur after each card passive goes off, or does it wait for all passive to process and crush? Based on my experience when I played, it happens immediately. So as each card passive goes off, it will crush as it fills up the column, because it's automatic for per column. So as it fills up, it just goes and crushes. So it does not wait for the skills to finish. Okay, so congratulations to the winners here. It seems like a good idea to bring back players that has left this new generation. Yeah, I mean, like if you have some older cards, like it might actually work out well. Like it's just going to be something a little bit different, in my opinion. Okay, whether or not the decks moving forward is going to have a completely different mechanic, I don't know. But I will. We will see. We will see next event. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is it's 9:22. I'm going to go ahead and close the entries at this point. I'm going to pick my last winner for the night. And so, Elizabeth Crane, have you not entered yet? So if you have not entered, I'm going to resume the entries. There's a timer for 1 minute and 42. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let the timer just run down for the next minute and a half. If you have not entered, go ahead and enter. If you've already entered, you don't need to, because you're already registered. And then after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a new raffle for a hat / t-shirt, your choice, whichever one you want. Okay, so I've resumed the entry, so go ahead and enter your raffle now so that you can get into it, so there's a chance for you to win also. So Elizabeth Crane, go ahead and type in the raffle once more so that you have a chance to be registered. Okay, so we do have quite a few people that have registered, so that's really good to see. So we got one more minute remaining, guys, so make sure that you get your raffle in there. Okay, and it's like I said, the next giveaway is going to be a hat / t-shirt, but given the time, I'm going to make it a really short entry time. So I'm gonna just give you guys 5 minutes to enter afterwards. So you're going to see it. So don't worry. I will make sure that you guys see it plenty of time there. So that's pretty much like my experience with Gem Crush. I told them when they asked me to do the giveaway here, like I asked, hey, what information can I share? And so this is the information I say, yeah, just go ahead and talk about your experience. And that's what I wanted to do, because I think one of the things that I saw was a lot of confusion and there was a lot of questions. Now, because I haven't seen what it's like for the last 4 weeks or so, I can't say that I know everything, but I think it's important to just kind of share my side of the story without it feeling like I'm simply just saying it's the best thing ever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying here is I think that it's going to be different, and I think that from what I've seen, excuse me, they've really made a lot of improvements over the few iterations. So it's something that I just wanted to provide so that you have more information. Okay. All right. So the timer has now ended. I'm going to go ahead and do the drawing for my last winner. And it is going to be Dennis Coco. So Stephen Harrell. So my network. So if you download the network app, or if you don't, that's fine. Just go ahead and, you know what, Stephen, just, you can comment in the video if you can't reach me in the network app. My channel is TBone LGOH chat. That is the name of my channel, so you can message me in there. Not there. You can just look me up. Just look up. Just look me up and tell me what your in-game name is, so that I could forward your in-game name to them, so that they can give you the gems. Okay. So Vincent, they need to hire me as someone who doesn't spend that $100. So I do what I can, and one of the reasons why I did this, I started this channel is so that I can give information. All right, and so that's really what I wanted to do. All right, so I'm going to do this now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this so that the timer is going to be much shorter. But what I'm going to do here is I have another giveaway. This is my personal giveaway. So this is not gems. This is a personal giveaway that using my merchant store. And in this one, if you are a subscriber, you're going to have a little bit more advantage because you're going to get an additional ticket for the drawing. Okay. So Little Hoshi, unfortunately, I have done all of the drawings. There is one more chance. If you comment in the video, I will randomly draw from there as well. Okay, so there's one more drawing afterwards for afterwards. I'm gonna go ahead and start this giveaway now. So what this new one is, I'm not sure if it's going to take a while for it to start out. Here we go. So go ahead and next 5 minutes, go ahead and enter a raffle. This is a new one, so you have to register. This is a new raffle. Okay, so enter this one. This is my personal merch store, and I will be giving a free hat or a free shirt, whatever your choice is. You can decide, and message me if you're a winner afterwards, and I will get your shipping information to get it to you. Okay. And so I guess like what to look forward to this particular event while we're waiting for this. I'm gonna talk about like what to look forward to. Like I'm not sure there's any news feeds specifically about this, right? Except that. Yeah, so the only thing that we see is that there's going to be an additional relic. So if I had gone up to tier 5, I would get another rare relic. But there is nothing else. The foes will have the counter. Yeah, the foes will have the slumber skill. What I really wanted to see was, a card that will give you the slumber debuff that I can use in guild versus guild. Because one of the things that I'm also thinking about is I'm going to get a light defender this time, which is good because that's my defense. So here's my GVG team. These are my defenders. And so I was kind of playing around to like, hey, what can I do if I added a different light defender in? I am also looking at adding in a dark defense in there. But if you put a slumber card in the very, very first slot, I guess the problem here is they don't last past the first hit. So then it has to be in the second hit. If it's in the second hit, right, then I guess it doesn't really... I was trying to see a situation where this could make it more difficult for attackers. But the more I think about it, the more I see it as I need to have a dark defense. If I have a dark defense and then I use the light defender with Slumber in the first slot, then that could kill a lot of the decks that use, the K-pop sort of flood mechanic. And so in my situation with all light defenders, I don't think I can use this to my advantage. So like I don't think that I could actually take Slumber as a skill and make that more difficult for people to play through. I think just this is basically like a punching bag for anybody who has a dark deck anyway. So there's really not much I can improve on it except to mix up the affinities. And so I think what I need to do is I need to think about how this would work. But my thinking right now is that if you are a dark GVG defense team user, this might potentially give you that extra bit of defense by silencing the passive skills of your attackers. Just thinking about it, I have no way of testing it right now until we get the cards. Then we can actually know for sure. But until then, I guess that's something I was thinking about. The Pondering Pigeon, Birthright Slumber. We should just have like a Birthright like silence everything. Like you cannot use anything for the next 5 turns. No skills, no passives, no battle skills at all. No cleanse, no nothing. Auto kill. Like you reach a certain point, there's like a little roll of the die. Right? Like, hey, you've now successfully gone through 4 defenders. You roll a dice, and 1 out of 12 chances, like a 12-sided die, 1 out of 12 is an immediate death. Like, I don't really know what they can do to help the guild versus guild landscape so that the defenders aren't just getting smacked around like the way they have been so far. So Dark Lady, is this deck worth getting? My personal opinion is that the deck seems like it will be fun to use. It is like anytime you have like a 2-turn cooldown deck, it's going to be pretty fun, right? It's going to be pretty quick, and it has heal, power gems, and also it has the damage boost, which is always going to be useful. Like even if you can't use it immediately, it's going to be a card that will help you with some damage boost. So it's a good deck to have. But it's not a deck that you should drop thousands of dollars to go after. And really, no decks are worth thousands of dollars. But I think if you like this mechanic, I don't think you'll have buyer's remorse. Because you know exactly what you can expect. What you can expect is you're going to get damage boost, you're going to get power gems creations, and you're going to have heals every single turn. That's pretty much what you can expect. All right, so I'm going to only be able to pick one winner for this. So this is one swag. It's going to be either a hat or a shirt. Gonna go ahead and pick the winner, and let's see who's the lucky winner here. Demon Blaze 7, congratulations! You won a swag as well as gems here. So congratulations for winning here. And so that's gonna be it for the giveaways here. There's going to be more. So if you didn't get it this time, no worries. There's still going to be more opportunities. I think I'm just going to continue running this moving forward. I thought it was going to be just like a short-term thing, but this is my way of giving back to the community. So it is going to be a hat or a shirt out of my own pocket. I'll be shipping it to you. So just message me afterwards. Take a look at the link and let me know what you like, and then message me afterwards, and I will get information for you. Okay, and so that's going to be it for me for today also. If there's any other questions that I have not answered, apologies if you've tagged me and I didn't answer you, but there's a lot of chatter there, and I'm really glad that you guys all came out here to support me and to talk about this. Hopefully the information I provided was helpful, and like I said, next event, looking forward to the Gem Crush updates. I'm going to provide more information as I get them. But before then, there's still this event. So we will talk about the event once it starts, and I will come up with my own ideas for how I can survive these levels, because I don't have the event deck. Right? And so that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you very much for joining here. Take care, everybody, and have a good event. I'll see you next time.